Hey everyone, I'm Brett, CTO of BevLive. I'm here with Bjoern tonight. And Bjoern, I got a couple questions for you. How in the world can we just pick wines? Because I struggle with this all the time. We got family coming in from town, and it's like, what do? You can't figure out what you want to do for wine because A, maybe you don't know what you're gonna cook. B, you don't know where to go. C, you're like me, your family's wine snobs and you want to impress them. So how do you navigate that complex territory? How do I trust a brand? What do we do?
That's a really, really good question. I get like text messages from friends all the time. It's like, hey, I'm at the store or I'm at home and I want to go shopping, or hopefully you go and live and buy something. But I need some help. I don't know what to buy. Is this any good? And I think overall we quite still have not figured out yet what is the best approach to doing that, other than asking your friend who really knows everything. I think people have different approaches, and I think some are better than others. I think it also is a generational difference. I mean, there's been
Yeah.
some studies that are being done where they show, okay, this age group does it this way, this age group does it this way, and this age group does it that way. So it's hard. It's hard.
Well, I feel that's true, especially with kind of that generational divide. I feel the younger crowd, maybe I don't know, in wine world, that's probably 35 and under, right? It's a lot more digital discovery going on these days rather than, oh, I'm going to the dinner that this wine was paired with, or the trade show, or, the typical venues that people will find wine in that way. So I think that's interesting to shake things up a little bit. And marketing these days is more important than ever, I feel like. Is that the case, you feel?
I think it's marketing, but I think it's more than that. I think it's like the trust that people are changing. Like
Hmm.
in the past, well, still the present, but more so in the past, people were trusting magazines like
Yeah.
Advocate, Wine Spectator, Wine and Spirits,
Hmm.
all those kinds of magazines. And now the younger generation is more like, okay, what does my friend drink? Or let's go on social somewhere and ask a question. What do you all drink? And like people make recommendations. So it seems, and I like it actually. It seems wine has become more personal in that way. It's like, why would I trust this expert that lives, I don't know, 1,000 miles from me, and maybe have recommendations for people who know much more about wine than I do? Why shouldn't I just ask a friend and say, what wine have you had lately that's any good? So they think the possibility for you to find something good that way, I think they feel is much, much higher. And so I think there's a generational shift right now going on how people pick wines, from the big magazines to more the friends who may know something about wine. That's why I get all my text messages, I
Yeah.
guess.
That's a valid point too, because I've felt personally, you get the bottle, you're looking at it, it's a nice bottle, it's got the cool label on it. You turn it to the back immediately to read the tasting notes on it. And those are usually from the sommeliers, those experts like you're talking about. But I go to drink it and I'm like, I can't really taste every little note that they're talking about. So even from reading it, from what I taste as, the amateur sort of wine drinker out of the bottle, I'd much rather have a friend recommend it, like, oh, if you like this wine, you really should check that one out. And the Grower's Touch, actually, Bjorn, was like that for me. That's on sale right now at bevlive.com. I think it was a Shiraz that they do. That was excellent. I'm usually I'm more of a Pinot Noir type of person. I'll prefer those any day because I feel they're pretty versatile. But when I had that Shiraz, definitely changed my mind. So now I tend to seek those out a little bit more than I used to.
I think that's a good point. I think in general, people at some point they find something. I don't know how they got there in one way or another. They got to picking that wine, and then they go like, hey, this is good. So how can I use that experience for future purchase decisions? And like with Grower's Touch, for example, you may go like, okay, well, this is from Australia. Maybe I should try something else from Australia. Maybe that's kind of where I am. That's kind of maybe my tasting profile. Or, hey, this was a Pinot Noir. I like Pinot Noir or in UK Shiraz. Maybe I should look for another Shiraz. So it's kind of like, you're learning as you are drinking more and more and trying different things. So people, I think, need to use what they have learned and then apply that for future purchase decisions. So I think there's a learning curve there, and people find wines in one way or another, then learn about the areas, to learn about the winemakers, and for imports, they learn about the importer. So turn that bottle of wine around and see who the importer is. Chances are, if you like one wine from this importer, you may also like another one. So turn those bottles around. Or with BevLive, like if you like something that we sell, chances are you will like something else. Try something else.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if viewers now can't see everything around me, it's all nothing but vinyl records and the piano. And if you were looking at this side of the wall, it'd be all guitars and amps. And I feel like that's true with music as well. When I used to play music professionally, I would look. I studied it almost. So you buy that record, you get it. The first thing I would do is flip it around and look at what record label produced it. And then if it was a new band I'd never heard of, I'd go to that record label and then look at all the similar acts that they signed. And it was a really cool way to find very similar taste and really expand your repertoire of what you're trying out. And that's awesome.
I think that's a fantastic comparison. I think that's exactly what it is.
And there's so many, especially these days. I mean, the kind of this craft wine, these boutique wineries are more prevalent than ever, I feel like. And a lot of that is, people like us that are passionate about that want to bring the word to the public and get that in stores. So now you're just flooded with options, and not just the big players anymore. You have a lot to choose from, and it's hard. You can get lost, right?
Completely. There's just so many different options. You got to find a way that helps you make learn and make the right decision. So on that point, learning is don't just rely on everybody else. Find your own way. Do some research. Maybe if you're interested in the subject. Like, hey, I like Shiraz, so I'm going to learn a little bit more. And you may like a Shiraz from Australia and do some research. It's like, hey, there's some really nice Shiraz being made actually in California. Maybe I should try that too. So it's education, and I think the big thing for us that we're doing here is have a focus on that education, so that people get smarter about wine, and get better and better at helping in some ways themselves, so that they get to that point where all their friends ask you. You start somewhere and then you work your way up, and before you know it, you are the kind of source of, hey, what should I buy tonight?
Right. Yeah, that's a cool feeling too. Is now you become the expert. Your wine queue, so to speak, is increased. People look to you for answers. And here's a question I know a lot of people have: is should we trust a celebrity when they endorse a product to drink that?
Well, that's a really good question. Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily endorsement. I think it's also product or brand ownership. There are a lot of celebrity brands out there, more so in the spirits world than in the wine world, I guess. But there's plenty of celebrities in the wine as well. We're getting some really nice wines from some of these celebrities. They often do know what they're doing. They don't just do a licensing deal and put their name on it that way. They actually get involved. They actually work with the right people, with the right producers. And I think in many ways these celebrities, for at least for most, it's when they put their name on something, it's got to be good. Because if it's not good, that will impact everything else that they do. So I think in general, from what I have tasted and over the years, the products are pretty solid, I think. They usually surround themselves with people who really know what they're doing. They understand their own image, their own brand, and understand their followers as well. If you are a certain celebrity and you believe most of your fans are a certain type, you make a wine towards that type, towards that price point, for example.
So more hits than miss for sure. It sounds like.
I think so. You would think it's the opposite. You would think they just
Yeah.
have the name on something, but if you do really look at it, and look at the different products that are out there, it's pretty
Yeah,
sensible.
I'd have to agree. I can't think of any, maybe like 19 Crimes from, Wine World. That's, I think Snoop Dogg was behind that brand, because if you've ever seen it, it's like they come there, they have the mugshot of this famous criminal on it, and then you read the story, and then it tells you about the tasting notes at the bottom. It's kind of a cool concept, and it seems gimmicky, and so I was kind of, I don't know, but it was better than I expected. So I'd imagine that's an interesting way to at least discover wine through your favorite
The
celebrities.
brand owner of 19 Crimes, I mean, is a large producer, and they understand how to market wine, and they also understand what to put in those wines. Exactly to my point, they understand who buys those wines. Martha Stewart was part of 19 Crimes too, so.
I bet that's why then, if they're friends, yeah.
Yeah, right. But no, I think in general, to that question, the quality being made is pretty good because people are careful with their celebrity status. I mean, I think especially like if you look at like spirits, I mean, there's a lot of brands that are co-owned or wholly owned by some celebrities, and you would think that they're careful with their status. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually, in this case, probably trust the celebrities.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It's not the greatest, and you just don't buy it again, I guess. But sounds like that's not the issue. So, one note here that we could go out on: if I'm the newbie, the wine drinker, maybe I'm going on a date that evening, or we're cooking a nice meal at home, but I know I like wine. I don't know what types, or I don't know anything about it. So I go to the most, well-known wine store in town or something. What do I do as that person the minute do I walk through that door to find that perfect bottle? Is somebody I can approach to ask, or do I just throw a dart and hopefully I hit the right bottle? What do you do?
Don't throw the dart. I think. I mean, if you walk to a nice fine wine store in your area, that's already a good choice. I think. Nothing against the big box stores. They have great wines, but if you do need help, you're probably not going to get that help.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to a large chain and buying it there. There really isn't, if you know what you want to buy. But you're probably going to get more at a local wine store or on BevLive.
And their selections are probably curated, right? They're not just, oh, this person paid me X to be here. It's, hey, no, this wine's really good, and I'm telling you that because it is, and here's the price. It's very transparent that way.
Right. But in wine stores, like you may also have several different wine stores in your area. So the buyers may have different tastes. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have that here in town, for example. You need to see first which wine store kind of matches what you like, and you can only do that by trying. And once you find wines to create a relationship with the buyer or the owner, and next thing you know, you walk into that store and they go like, hey Brett, good to see you. I think you're really gonna like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of the local wine stores. Because there's something to be said about the service that they provide. Plus, you get a selection that's a little bit more broad and maybe a little bit more interesting than somebody who is trying to, or who is in all 50 states and has to, work with certain size producers to be able to have the same products in all 50 states. So in the smaller stores, you're going to get something more, I guess, specialty. Again, nothing wrong with the chains in those regards, but it's just different.
So yeah, so it's just a smaller, more tailored experience, and you can sort of choose your own adventure.
Yeah, and you can support your own local economy.
Absolutely. Well, Bjoern, I think that's wraps it up. I think I'm going to go right now and go pick out a bottle from our local shop down the road. I think you know which one I'm talking about. So, all right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Yeah, and if you know of or any questions about wine, drop us a line anytime. You'll get either me or Bjorn. Usually Bjorn is there to happily answer any wine questions, and we'll point you in the right direction. Bye.
So fantastic. All right. See you all later.